Ashton in California, pronouns are he, him, and has a question about the show. So welcome, Ashton. I'm happy to answer your question.
Hey, Ashton.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Forrest. Thanks for getting me, guys. A big fan
Sure.
of the show. Matt, my story is actually similar to yours. I was also trained to be a pastor for quite a while, and even went as far as to get a master's degree from a Bible college. But your show helped me to get a new perspective, and I really appreciate what you guys did for me in that regard.
Oh, thanks. So let's knock out your question specifically.
Right. The question is, so you guys have been doing this for a long time on the show. You've done plenty of debates, the show for 17 years, you said, and you said you've never heard anyone give you a good reason for the existence of God.
Right.
So I was wondering at this point, do you guys still take calls with, or do you guys still take calls actually entertaining the idea that someone may present good evidence, or at this point, is it just about helping people reason better and show them that their religion might not be all that they think it is?
It's both a simple and difficult question to ask. So let me try and do it this way. I show up here every week, and in between, I do a lot of the same stuff elsewhere outside of just Atheist Experience. Do I have any reasonable expectation that anyone is ever going to call in and present a valid and sound argument for the existence of God backed up by good evidence? No, I don't have a reasonable expectation that that's likely to happen. My expectation is that people will call in and present what they think is good reasons for God. And if in fact they are right, which I recognize as a possibility, just not one I'm holding out much confidence that's likely to happen. But if they happen to be right, I want to know. If there is a God and there's good evidence for God, I want to know. I want to believe anything that's supported by good evidence. And in the absence of that, the goal is to educate people on why I do not think that they have a good reason, why I'm not convinced by the same thing that they're convinced by. So in one sense, yes, I show up every week with a genuine hope that someone will show up with a valid and sound argument. But if you asked what I'd be willing to bet that it's going to happen on any given Sunday, I'd bet everything in my bank account that it's not going to happen on any given Sunday. Because I lose my, hang on. My apologies. I did so good through the show and they have one little breathing issue right at the end. There's not that much in my bank account. And so if I lost everything in my bank account, yes, I would be broken, but I would be able to start over. It wouldn't be the end of the world. So I don't think it's likely to happen, but I am absolutely open to it happening. And in the absence of it happening, the most important thing that the show can do is to explain to people why the reasons they think are good aren't good. Look at the probability. Well, all right, let's think about that. How did you calculate this probability? We get no answer. All right, well, what about evolution is just full of so many holes? Well, is it really though? And even if you poked a million holes in evolution, that doesn't mean that your God belief exists. Oh, well, look at the trees. Only God can make a tree. Well, okay, you haven't demonstrated that God can do anything, let alone make a tree. You're just assuming because you don't know how trees begin. It's the same thing as people I've mentioned before, looking at a bunch of sticks blocking up a river and saying, hey, is this just the natural result of water moving sticks, or is it a beaver dam? And how would we tell the difference? And that requires investigation and finding the hallmarks of those things that are in fact designed and contrasting it with those things that occur naturally. Complexity is not a relevant issue in determining whether or not something is designed. As a matter of fact, we've pointed out before, the hallmark of design is simplicity, not complexity. And so teaching these things is important, but genuinely, for me, and I'm assuming it's going to be the same for Forrest or anybody else, I'm open to being shown good evidence for the existence of God. I don't think it's likely I will ever see it in my lifetime, because if there really were good evidence for God, these sorts of debates and discussions couldn't exist. There'd be a Nobel Prize for proving that God existed, and it would just be part of our daily understanding. We might not know much about that God, but we would definitely be on that page. So that's where I am with my expectations for the show.
Awesome. I won't keep you guys over time, but I appreciate you taking my call anyway.
Thank you so much, Aston, and thank you for waiting, because I know you've been on hold for like almost 2 full hours while we did a show.
Jeez.
But I figured I'd give you the honor of being the last caller, since it was such a good question. So thank you so much for calling in.